The Sri Lanka Agricultural Research and Production Assistance Union charges that the government has failed to make farmers' pensions payments over 2 years. They say that farmers constantly question them on the fate of their pensions. These views were expressed at a media briefing convened in Colombo today, convened by the Sri Lanka Agricultural Research and Production Assistance Union.
These officers are the final link with the farmers in building the agricultural economy. These officers have not received their transport allowances or office allowances. At the same time, the wage is not concurrent with the constitution. This is the largest problem that we are faced with. Also, there are some officers who have served for more than 15 years and are yet to receive permanent appointments.
තව මේ නිලධාරීන් දැන් අවුරුදු 15ක් සේවය කරනවා ස්ථිර පත්වීම් දීලා නැති කොටසකුත් ඉන්නවා අහිංසක ගොවි ජනතාව අපි විසින් තමයි කුසිරක්ෂණ මණ්ඩලය හරහා
Farmers' pensions were paid through us to the innocent farmers by the Agrarian Insurance Board. Farmers' pension payments have not been made for over 2 years now. Farmers and mothers call and lament to us that they made the payments because we supported it and that now they do not even have the 1,000 rupees that they put in to buy medication. We ask that immediate steps be taken to provide these farmers with their pensions.
අපි විශේෂයෙන්ම කියනවා මේ ගොවියාගේ ගොවි විශ්‍රාමයට ලබා දෙන්න කටයුතු කරන්න.
Now, various projects have been initiated in the recent past for the welfare of war heroes. However, our provincial correspondent in Mahiyangane, Buddhika Sanjeeva, came across a war heroes village in the area that has fallen through the net of these development projects.
This war heroes village is being constructed in Bubulaphitia in Vidimalia, the Badulla. This land was distributed among 28 war heroes by the Vidimalia, the Divisional Secretariat, last year. Although we have asked them to build various things, they have given us this access road, which is essentially the jungle in the 10 or 20 feet between this post and the fence. Let alone vehicles, even a bicycle cannot go on this road. How are we to transport goods on this? This is my plot of land. There is an access road to the village and only on one side. There is no access road on the other side. Construction has been undertaken on the war heroes' plots of land in close proximity to the access road. We brought water for the foundations from about a kilometer away. The Vidimalia, the Divisional Secretariat, has informed these war heroes that they must build homes on these lands within a year or the lands will be taken over. When news first made inquiries, the Vidimalia, the Divisional Secretary, Atma Dijawatna, said that they had considered the request of the war heroes and have provided a grace period of 2 months for the construction of the houses. We asked the authorities that they provide us with loans comparable to our wages and prepare some sort of system for us to build this village.
A disabled person is a person who cannot stand on his own 2 feet. How can they ask a person like this to build a house and settle on this plot of land within the given time frame?
The Sadham Puja Poson Zone, sponsored by News First, was held for the second day today. The Poson Zone commenced last evening near the Muagama Viharya in Ratnapura. A large crowd flocked to the Sadham Puja Poson Zone after it was declared open the day before yesterday. People visiting the Poson Zone can witness the Poson Pandal and lanterns that are on display until the 29th of this month. The News First mobile studio was also set up at the Poson Zone, granting the opportunity for talented youngsters to participate in screen tests. Screen tests were held between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. today.
We now take a look at Action TV.
Last Wednesday, the Secretary to the Minister of Education said that he would notify the principals of the relevant schools to disregard Education Circular No. 4 of 2013 issued by him in April, preventing students from transferring from one national school to another for their advanced levels. The Education Secretary made this statement during a discussion with 5 of a group of parents who had commenced a Satyagraha campaign against a circular opposite the ministry and the representatives of 2 teachers' unions. Keeping faith in the statement made by the Education Secretary, who is a senior official in the Sri Lanka Administrative Service, a group of parents went to Royal College, Colombo the next day to inquire into the possibility of enrolling their children who obtained 9 A passes at last year's ordinary level examination to Royal College. Although these parents had submitted applications for their children to be enrolled at Royal College Colombo following the issuing of the controversial circular, the students were not even called for interviews. The parents who went to Royal College Colombo on Thursday were given an understanding of proper administrative process by the principal of Royal College, who is also an official of the Sri Lanka Administrative Service, and were made to turn back empty-handed. The principal of Royal College informed these parents that if he is to disregard an education circular, then he must receive written notification, as this is the accepted procedure. Meanwhile, a group of parents who visited Devi Balika Vidyalaya in Colombo on Friday to inquire into the same, keeping faith in the Education Secretary's statement, were not allowed to enter the school premises and were informed by the Deputy Principal of the school that the Education Secretary had not instructed them to act disregarding Circular number 4/2013. Questions were raised regarding the situation that has arisen at a media briefing convened today.
මින්තෝට බලංගු වෙන්නේ කොයි විදියට වෙනවනේ එමතුමා මේක මොකද බලංගු වෙන්නේ චක්‍රලේකේ යන්න බෑනේ එමතුමා පාසලකින් පාසලකට ඒ චක්‍රලේකනේ සුද්ධ සිංහලෙන් තියෙනවා ඕනෙම පාසලකට යන්න පුළුවන් කියලා චක්‍රලේකනේ දුන්නානේ ඔව් විද්‍යාලයට යන්න විශාඛ විද්‍යාලයේ ළමයෙකුට පුළුවන් දේවි බාලිකායකට යන්න
By comparing the minister's statement with the content of Circular number 4 of 2013, it is possible to determine the truth. A security guard at Vishaka Vidyalaya Colombo, who has understood this truth, made it clear to a group of parents who visited the school today. When will education authorities understand that education is meant to provide more opportunities and not for opportunity to be denied using various schemes?
Minister of Higher Education S.B. Desanayake says that it is a crime that over 100,000 students who pass their GCE advanced level examination annually are unable to fulfill their higher educational aspirations. The minister expressed this view at an event held in Colombo today.
In the past, we had universities comparable to centers of excellence in the West, and until recently some of our universities were placed within the first 50 universities in the world. However, that is now the history. As we are aware, annually around 250,000 students sit for the GC advanced level, and nearly 130,000 students pass with the required marks to gain entry to the universities. The magnitude of this national problem, therefore, is seen when we realize about another 100,000 or more cannot meet their higher educational aspirations.
Meanwhile, speaking to News First, JVP Politburo member Vijitha Herath said that Minister S.B. Desanayake should be held responsible for the collapse in education in the country.
At an event held at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute today, Minister of Education Bandula Gunawardena said that cabinet approval had been granted to include language, religion and history into the curriculum for international schools.
ජාත්‍යන්තර පාසල් වල මේ තමන්ගේ මව් භාෂාව ආගමක් ඉතිහාසයක්
Last week, I was able to obtain cabinet approval to make it compulsory for the mother tongue, history and religion to be taught at international schools and private schools. This decision was made on the stance that the majority of students in international schools, private schools and government schools can move forward and reach higher in education.
නිර්මාණය කළ දී යුතුය කියන ස්ථාවරය යටතේ
Minister of State Management Reforms Navin Dissanayake says that the government sector needs to retune its thinking and change its attitude. The minister made these remarks at a conference that commenced in Colombo today.
The ethos, the attitude of thinking is always to go with the status quo. And you would appreciate that in the government sector, this is much more than the private sector. Because the private sector always wants to change and they're based on a profit model. Whereas the government is not. And I feel that is one of the biggest drawbacks that the government sector has. So I would say that we have to retune our thinking in terms of defining ourselves in terms of public service delivery.
The 4th annual Future Gov SARC Summit commenced in Colombo today. The official web portal of the Government of Sri Lanka, www.gov.lk, was also launched at this conference under the auspices of Minister Navin Dissanayake.
With rains being experienced across the island, it is possible that dengue infections could spike in the coming months. In this backdrop, News First's EU reporter Janaka Gomez from Mount Lavinia came across a plot of land in Ratmalana that could become a hotbed for mosquito breeding.
We witnessed an environment conducive to the breeding of dengue mosquitoes at this abandoned plot of land on Anuramawata in Ratmalana, which belongs to a store. Tanks and plastic containers on this land have filled with water.
News First EU reporter Janaka Gomez Galgise Sita.
Last Sunday, Bitter Truth revealed the story of chess player Thilini Koswatha, who came first in the women's qualifying tournament for the World University Games, but did not get the opportunity to represent Sri Lanka at this year's Games. The Sri Lanka University Sports Association stated that based on the quota given by the International University Sports Association, Pramodya Senanayake was selected 6 months ago to represent Sri Lanka at the Games. After the revelation carried on by the Bitter Truth segment, chess player Pramodya Senanayake expressed these views to Sports First.
World University Games වලට free tickets දෙකක් දෙනවා එක රටකට. ඒක award කරන criteria එක තමයි
2 free air tickets will be given to each country for the World University Games. The criteria of awarding this is by looking into whether the players have represented Sri Lanka. This year there have been only 2 national players and I am one of them. I am happy that I received the free ticket from the women's selection rounds. Thereafter the chess qualifying rounds were held. At that point the chess selection committee informed me that I need not take part in the selection rounds as I was already awarded a free ticket. Also, since I was a national player, I was not asked to play for the qualifying rounds. Then the officials verified from the players if they have any objection, and no one objected at that point. Therefore, it was decided that I need not play for the selection rounds.
ඒ අනුව තීරණය වුණා මම selection play කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ කියලා.